Good afternoon, everyone. So, anyhow, our last lecture was spoiled. So, we will discuss both topics, the previous lecture topic and today's topic in the same lecture. So, some points of categorization of software projects we discussed in the remaining time when we start with the last lecture. So we will discuss some more things. In categorization of software projects, first we will discuss that what is software product. Fine. After that, we'll discuss broadly categorization, two categories of software product and essential characteristics of any software product. So what is software product or software project? First, so software products are nothing but software systems delivered to the customer with the documentation that describe how to install and use the system. Fine. So what is software product? This is the software that is developed by the developer or the project team along with its documentation and the whole toolkit that the client will use to run this software on his or her own system. That is the combined software product. So in certain cases, software products may be a part of system products where hardware as well as software is delivered to a customer. So software products are produced with the help of software process. What kind of software process? We already discussed. The software process is the way in which we produce software. Fine. Firstly, gathering the requirements and design, after that implementing, then testing, that kind of process. Fine. So next we have types of software products. So broadly, we have two categories of software products. First is generic products and second one is customized products. What is generic products? So generic products are the standalone systems that are developed by a production unit and sold on the open market to any customer who is able to buy them. Fine. For example, suppose you are developing a software product, like an app. You developing an app application for the healthcare system, for example. And now, after development, you launch it in the open system. Any person who want to use it can buy it. That kind of products are generic products as per the definition of generic product. Fine. Second category is customized products. So customized products are the systems that are commissioned by a particular customer. Some contractor develops the software for that customer. So customized products are the kind of projects that are assigned to an organization or a firm by a particular customer. For example, if we will take the example of our UIMS portal, fine. So this is a software product, for example, and suppose there is a team or there is an organization who is developing this kind of softwares. So our university contact to those people, contact to that organization and tell them what are the requirements of our system. We have some interface for student, we want some interface for teachers, we want some interface for administration, like that kind of requirements. So there is a system, that is UMS, that is the kind of customized products. Getting my point? So these are two broad categories. Next, we have some essential characteristics of software products. First is efficiency. What is efficiency? We all know that how much efficient a software product is. The software should not make wasteful use of resources such as memory and processor cycles. So if it will consume more memory and process cycles, that it will run very slow. We can take that example in that way. Second is maintainability. So it should be possible to evolve the software to meet the changing requirements of customer. So for example, if we will take again the example of UMS system. So whenever firstly it produced, it doesn't have that much number of interfaces, like those are added up nowadays also. Suppose if we will take the example of attendance mark. So in the previous years, the attendance mark is just mark attendance. But now with the addition of Blackboard classes, there is another module, that is Blackboard, mark attendance Blackboard. Fine. So that is the part of maintainability. So dependability is the next one. So it is the flexibility of software that ought to not cause any physical or economic injury within the event of failure, system failure. So it includes a range of characteristics such as reliability, security, and safety. Fine. So next characteristics that we have, that is in time. So software should be developed well in time. So when we start with to developing any software product, so we firstly uh, have the start time, execution time, and end time. Fine. So the software should be developed well in time, within the time, before deadline. So that is in time characteristic. Next is within budget. So before starting any project, there is cost evaluation, cost estimation. Fine. Yes, cost. So software development costs should not overrun, and it should be within the budgetary limit. That is also the characteristic. So next is functionality. The software system should exhibit the proper functionality, that is, it should perform all the function it is supposed to perform. Fine. And the last characteristic is availability. Sorry, adaptability. So the software system should have the ability to get adapted a reasonable extent with the changing requirements. Fine. So moreover, we discussed very hurriedly in the last lecture that we have some ways of categorizing software projects, like we'll discuss those again. So first is compulsory versus voluntary users. Fine. So what is compulsory users? What are voluntary users? So in workplace, there are systems that staff have to use that are compulsory to use if they want to do something. So such as recording a sale. So however use the system is increasingly voluntary, as in the case of computer games. If we'll take the example of computer games. So here it is difficult to elicit precise requirements from potential users as we could with a business system. So what the game will do will thus depend much on the informed ingenuity of the developers, along with the techniques such as market survey, focus groups, and prototype evaluation. Fine. So here can be a system that is compulsory to use and some voluntary users. Fine. Second thing, that is, what happened? Yes, now it's working. So information system versus embedded systems. Fine. So what is information systems? A traditional distinction has been between information system, which enable the staff to carry out office processes, and embedded system, which control machines. So hurry up, let me know any simple example of information system. Any simple example. Anyone? Information system? Yes. Good. And embedded system? Embedded system is to control any kind of machinery. We can take the, yes, smart homes. We can take the example of air conditioning, AC. Fine. We control AC through any remote control. We can say DVD player. Yes. Uh, car player, remote car player. Yes. Yes. Fine. So these are also the categories of software products, and next is outsourced projects. What are these outsourced projects? With its name, that is outsourced, means uh, suppose an organization is developing a big software, fine, and it has a number of modules. Fine. So some modules are very unique that are not available in previous systems, we can say, or it is not exist in, or these are very new features, we can say. And some components or features are very common to other projects. Those are going on in some other organization. For example, so we will import that components to our system. We will not actually develop those components. We will just borrow or just import those components from other system that are called outsourced projects. Fine. So while developing a large project, sometimes it makes good commercial sense for a company to outsource some parts of its work to other companies. Fine. We will take the example of Indian software companies excel in executing outsourced software projects and have earned a fine reputation in this field all over the world. So of late, the Indian companies have slowly begun to focus on product development as well. So I think outsourced projects is clear to everyone. What are outsourced projects? Okay. So next is objective driven development. Fine. So projects may be distinguished by whether their aim is to produce a product or to meet certain objectives. Fine. So a project might be to create a product, the details of which have been specified by the client. Fine. So I'll write here that it can be a product or to achieve certain kind of objectives. So now we're talking about product. Fine. So obviously this is the characteristics, or this is the these are the requirements that are assigned by any customer to the developer. So after that we will produce end product. So on the other hand, if we were talking about objectives, the project requirements might be to meet certain objectives, which could be met in number of ways. So an organization might have a problem and ask a specialist to recommend a solution. Fine. So many software projects have two stages. First is an objective-driven project resulting in recommendation. So this might identify the need for a new software system. The next stage is a project actually to create the software product. Fine. So now we'll discuss our second topic. If someone have any doubt in this topic, that is categorization of software products, then please ask, because now I'm going to move to the second topic. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, second is setting objectives or project objectives. Okay, fine. So the content that we will discuss is, first of all, what are project objectives? Why are project objectives important? And what is the difference between project goals and project objectives, and how to identify the right project objectives? Sometimes we just define that we want to do this, we want to achieve this goal, but we don't know, can we actually achieve that goal or that objective? So how to identify the right project objectives and how to set smart project objectives? So first of all, we will discuss what are project objectives. So project objective is a statement that describes the that what we will do of your project, the tangible and measurable what that's achievable, realistic, and can be completed within time allowed. So these statements ladder up the goals of the project, providing stepping stones to success. The same thing that I have already discussed, that the objectives should be measurable, achievable, realistic, and these objectives should be completed and achieved within the time frame, allocated time frame. So next we have, why are project objectives important? We all know if we don't have any objectives, any goal to achieve the task or to produce the software product, then we cannot do the right, develop the right product. Fine. So project objectives are the guideposts when making decisions throughout the lifespan of the project. So they communicate project purpose in clear and tangible motions. So just as with personal goals, having clear objectives of our projects is the first step in moving from where we are to where we want to be, where we are now and where we want to be go. So have you ever set the goal to be, for example, if take the goal to be healthier as a new year resolution, that is also our objective. How to success were you, and this is much more achievable and measurable goal if we add some details. Fine. And next is project goals versus project objectives. So while they relate to one another, the goals and objectives serve different purposes. The goal is usually a high level target set by the business which is underlying driver behind a project. So that is high level target set. That is goal. So second is the objective is the detailed outline of a big picture of the project. Getting my point? So imagine the connect of dot diagram. If we'll take the example of dot diagram, the goals are the dots, but the objectives are the numbers. The objectives have direct you to end result to the project and to achieve the goals that we define. Fine? So next question is, now we know that what are objectives, why these are important, and what are the difference between goals and objectives. Now the question is how to identify the right project objectives. So while having objectives is important, having the right project objective is the true key to success. So if your internal dialogue goes something like this, you are doing it right. For example, here we have number of examples, but we'll discuss just two. That do I really to increase page view by 20%, or it is more valuable to increase the quality leads by 5%. So these kind of objectives. How to identify? So is time on the page important, or does that mean our users can't find what they are looking for? Fine. So there are some criteria, there are some points that we keep in mind that while we are setting our objectives to before starting any development of any project or product. Right? So next we have that how to set SMART project objective, and SMART have a full form with specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. So according to you, what is specific? Hurry up, let me know. staying under the requirements or what is asked. Okay. Anyone else? Sticking to client's demands. Okay. Specific, yes, you can say. Okay. So, specific, yes. So specific effective objectives are concrete and well defined. So vague aspirations such as to improve customer relations are unsatisfactory. So objectives should be defined so that it is obvious to all whether the project has been successful. Fine. So next is measurable. What is measurable? Measure of effectiveness. So ideally, there should be measure of effectiveness, which tell us how successful the project has been. For example, to reduce customer complaints would be more satisfactory as an objective than to improve the customer relation. So the measure can, in some cases, be an answer to simple yes or no question. For example, did we install the new software by coming week, by coming month? That kind of questions. So basically measurable is to measure the effectiveness. Next is achievable. Yes, tell me what is achievable? Okay, feasible, fine. What about others? So achievable, it must be within the power of individual or group to achieve the objective. Next is realistic, that can be relevant. So the objective must be relevant to the true purpose of the project. That is realistic. And last one is time bound or time constraint. What is that? What is time bound? We already discussed 3 to 4 times this deadline. Good. So there should be a deadline point in time by which the objective should have been achieved. Fine. So next we have, these are the very basic, and yes, last one is tips for using smart framework. Now we discuss the different smart um, uh, elements. So now here we have some tips for using the smart framework. That is, use plain and simple language while we are setting our objectives. So there is no show off of knowledge of any language, whether it is English or any other language. So you're not trying to assert your dominance of English language or whichever language you are writing your objective in, it should be quickly scannable and understood. If there is anyone in the system, in the team, and there is one person who set all the objectives, then these objectives should be clear to everyone. These are these should not be very hard and fast. So use action words when describing a specific goal. So you should be doing or achieving something. So use numbers to quantify your objectives and dates. Fine. So these are the very simple tips. So is there any doubt in both of the topics? Which query? Okay, mentoring session. We're talking about mentoring session. I discussed your point with the coordinator, and he told me that so now the classes have started, and these subjects are very good for the students for their knowledge, that kind of points. So they told me that they will keep in mind for the next time. And this is about the subjects. And second query was, what was that? I think two subjects, two subjects. From the previous years, I think there were two subjects, and one is technical training, but that is for TPP students, I think. I'll let you know. I'm asking from the final year, including project. No, not in including projects. For example, one subject is information security, but you are now learning that subject. So maybe it will be different as you are CA students. So there will be soft computing, but now you are studying that. So it can be different. Maybe genetic algorithms, like that kind of subjects. One is genetic algorithm, and the other one is artificial neural network. I think deep learning, maybe. I can understand Ankur, but this is system dear.